Welcome to our new and exciting segment dubbed the Username Story. In this segment, we indulge you into the highs, the lows, and the achievements of making the Username brand. My name is Sarah Wahogo, CEO at Username Investments Ltd. At Username, we are one of the very few real estate companies where we embody proper corporate governance. We have a board of directors who are in charge of oversight as well as strategy. We have a secretariat who are in charge of the office functions. These are managers who are professionals in their own capacity. Who is your favorite business leader, locally or international?
Locally, I would say that my favorite figure is James Mwangi. And I say that because I think he's a CEO, but also an entrepreneur who has worked with the brand from the formative stages. And I think I've seen Equity when it was a building society. Of course, those days I was young and I just came to learn through history. To when Equity Bank did an IPO and listed in the Nairobi Stocks Exchange, and now it's a regional bank, even investing and buying other banks in DR Congo. I've seen them go to South Sudan and creating value across the entire chain. I think I really admire James Mwangi, and every story that I see him giving really inspires me. Internationally, I would say Elon Musk, just because of his innovative nature and the drive that I see in him. Purely his drive and the nature of sacrifice he has given to business. The other day I saw him even sell his house to capitalize the business. And you see that level of commitment, just the fact that the guy spends many hours in the office. If look at the electric car business, Starlink, and the kind of innovation that this guy brings on the table is truly inspiring. Just the fact that I can go to Masai Mara or deep in Lodwar and rely on Starlink satellite to provide me with internet, it's groundbreaking. And I think I continue admiring him and seeing the kind of things he's doing. Even as young as he is, in his early 50s, we can only wait and see what he can be able to bring on the table in the next 20 years.
Thank you. Joseph Ruben, favorite business leader, locally or internationally?
I think it seems many Kenyans, including myself, they have similar observations, I would say, because they are correct. James Mwangi, for me, after looking at our business, he comes out as a person. I think he has transformed not a bank, an industry, right? The people who are able to transform a company, the other people who are able to transform an industry. And that's what he has done, to a point where he changed. You see, we used to have those, remember my parent used to be a civil, my parent is retired. My father is a civil servant, we used to be a civil servant. He used to be in Barclays. They used to have that 10,000 minimum balance, and other banks were following suit. No bank wanted to get into the space they came. When they came, I think they were the first to get in that very risky space. And I listened to the story, and they were saying that at some point they thought, and people were saying in the streets, that Equity Bank is a pyramid scheme. That is about, it's a bubble that is about to burst. It stayed for that for some time because their risk, the way they were taking some risk, they were able to get to that Mwananchi at the bottom there and lend them money. I think most banks did not see those people as people who have money. Yet they had money. The only problem is that they were in the rural setup and there was no mechanism to channel that money into the banking system. I think they saw that, and what I admire most is that capability to take life-changing and risky decisions. you come and I don't know how that board approved that decision to say, let us focus on this Mama Boga and people who are doing those informal businesses. That was very bold. And looking at his life, he has made many other decisions, including this thing of expansion. I'm not very sure, but I think Equity is one of the banks that has been able to move outside the zone to a point where they are now saying DRC might become bigger than Kenya and all the other countries combined in terms of their revenues in the years to come. And of course, they're in Rwanda and all these countries. And I also believe they might extend to Africa. He actually used to say, it's like the focus now is on the how many billions people in Africa that we have. That is the focus. It's no longer the Kenyan person, because in Africa we are more or less the same. That capability to be able to make difficult but life-changing decisions is something I admire. On the international scene, I think I have so many. I read their books. I like Richard Branson. I know he's a public figure doing all manner of flying with balloons, very risky, and taking certain funny photos. That's what I'm looking at. I like the way he is able to combine fun with business. He has been able to have some sort of life, and if you are to remove the business side of him, he'll still be an admirable personality. He's able to combine both. Of course, I also admire Elon Musk. I think on an international level, he's doing what James Mwangi has been doing in the banking sector. I find him to be almost crazy, if you ask me. Some of the decisions, some of the sectors, who built rockets, honestly, from scratch? I read his book and I was wondering, he got a team from all over the US. This guy can make the engine of the rocket. This guy, those very talented people, they do exist. Then he was able to assemble those people and do it from scratch. Imagine you thinking that you can wake up and start building a rocket. That is rocket. He has done it with solar, now he's doing it with internet. I think he takes those challenges. No other entrepreneur is willing to capitalize on them. You build Tesla. That is one example. I think there are so many. There used to be Steve Jobs, may his soul rest in peace. For him, I read the book, and I think one thing I'll tell you today. One of the things we put in our initial strategy came from, there's a book I read about the biography of Steve Jobs by Isaac Watson. Very nice book. He mentioned 3 things, and I actually was able to figure out most organizations, including Safaricom PLC. That's how they work. The first thing is usually the product that you have. He used to have, when he went to Apple the second time, they used to have they had more than 50 products. He came and shortened those products to 3 out of 50. People are working. So the first thing he said, we must have an excellent product. The second thing is marketing. You see the way he used to appear in those big screens? He used to be a spectacle in the world. Your marketing has to be to the point, not just marketing for the sake. You need to reach the people you want using any possible method. If I can describe him, is this guy who used brute force. Brute force is where you try all the possible options. He was so determined. The last thing was customer experience. And he was one of the first entrepreneurs in that space to come up with stores. And Apple stores used to have a certain experience. This is the way he wanted things to be. And he's one of the people who said, even if you are driving a tractor, what people see, the inside and the outside should be very good. Because most entrepreneurs in that space were focusing on the machine. Then you produce a laptop that looks like a box. In a car too, something that should be used in the field very dusty. You see, the outside is equally as important as the inside. That's why you have MacBooks, an iPhone, the way they look. He was trying to appeal. So those 3 things, I took them to heart, and I think we have also been trying to do something. And I also figured out most organizations work like that. If you focus on those 3 things, very seriously, you can build a formidable organization. There are many others, but I think we will mention them in the next video.
Thanks, Ruben. Julius?
Okay, it's very unlikely that someone would say, whenever they ask such kind of a question, who do you admire as a business leader or any leader anywhere? very unlikely that someone would say themselves, because you can't admire yourself. But I have to say that you have to start with yourself and then you admire others. Locally, I think one of the business leaders, talking of business leaders that I have admired or I used to admire for a long time, was our CEO at Safaricom, Bob Corimo. And I remember when Bob came, around 2010, 2011 there, or thereabout, his first speech was about the things that he is going to focus on. And he mentioned the 3 things. He said the first thing is the customer, number 2, the shareholder, and number 3, the people. The people in that context is the team that he was working with, the staff and all that. And he said for him is to ensure that he delivers value to those 3 people, the customer, and the shareholders. And one of the things that I really admired when he came, he changed the entire perspective about working and removed the context of working should be formal. Working should be fun. Actually, that is the concept that he brought into the company. I admired how he used to do things. At one point, he is very serious, delivering a very serious speech or doing a very serious meeting. The next session, you are seeing him jumping in a matatu, dancing somewhere in an office. He actually tried to ensure that one is cascaded down to everyone in the company, in the business. And I really liked that, because the moment you are working or the moment you are doing business and you're having fun in between, you are actually able to deliver, rather than you are just dull, the formality, you just do your thing and then you go. That way I really used to actually admire him so much, and may his soul continue resting in peace. Internationally, I would talk about Richard Branson, as Ruben has already mentioned. I once read a book, and I remember this guy is making a joke of that book, because I read it within a very long period of time, but the big book with, exactly that one. I read it within a couple of months. Yeah, it had a very funny title. I don't want to mention that title. And the way I looked at, when I read that book about Richard Branson, the way I look at it, you don't have to know everything so that you can be able to succeed. You just need to know how to start and what needs to be done. Then the rest is going to be done, or things are going to align themselves in that context. At some point in that book, he mentions about during his days in school, when he couldn't even, I think he was about 10 or 12 years, I can't remember clearly, he couldn't even be able to write. Or whatever he is writing in class, even the teachers could not be able to understand. And at one point, the teachers thought that this guy will never amount to anything. But he disapproved them. That one did not make him lose heart or even give up in life. He actually ensured that even if he is not talented in that field, he can be able to amount to something. But that is an encouragement to all of us, or to anyone. You may not be talented in a way that you see others are doing things, and you wonder, why am I not able to do what they are doing? Richard Branson would probably wonder, why am I not able to read and write the way my fellow pupils or students are doing? You may be in business, and maybe you may be wondering, why is my business not working like the way my other business people are doing? But that one should not discourage you. There's something deep within that you will succeed with. And Richard Branson has already succeeded. He has done so many things. He keeps on trying so many things. He actually have a hotel here in Kenya, in Masai Mara. He just came and tried, and now so many customers going to that restaurant, that hotel. So whatever you do, don't look at your weaknesses. Look even at, you have something else that you can do, and you don't have to compare yourself with others that you are in that context. Yeah.
Thank you, Julius. Joseph, you've been in charge of sales and marketing for the longest. What initiatives do you think have worked to grow the Username brand visibility?
Initially, like you had before, we did a newspaper advert that turned out to be disastrous for us. And by the way, why it was devastating to us, it's because that was the whole budget we had. So the moment you have 100,000 as your marketing budget for that particular month, and you splash it all on one newspaper ad, thinking that you'll get numerous calls, it was a big blow to us. And so we had to get creative. The good thing is that social media, which, social media, especially some people think social media has been there all through. The likes of Facebook in 08, Twitter came even after that. Instagram came even much later, in WhatsApp. So those were the days when we were going now to the commercial stage of using social media for business. Initially, social media was just to connect people. And Facebook was now offering a platform whereby you can grow your audience and following. And I think that is what worked for us. We actually realized that the traditional media, that is newspapers or print media, and the mass media such as radio and TV, needed huge budgets. But as a startup, we actually realized that we could rely on building authentic connections with our customers, who, by the way, are also on social media. And they could be able to see you any time of the day. So what we did is that after the disastrous results, we realized that you can actually reach to your consumers through their gadgets. Because, go to every matatu, even in the house, people have their gadgets at hand. Everyone is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you don't need to really put that ad on a newspaper. In fact, even the readership of newspapers was going down, because you really have to buy this newspaper for 60 bob. And most people don't have that budget. But if you have your gadget, you actually have got free access to internet, Wi-Fi in offices and all that. And therefore you start speaking to that audience right from the day they even do not have budget to buy your product. So we focus our efforts to social media, and the first platform was Facebook. Because if you look at our generation, most of our connections are actually on Facebook. The generation behind us, their main following and friends could actually be on Instagram. The generation after that is a generation on TikTok. And that's how things are. Just like there was a generation for Yahoo, Gmail, and those days there was Yahoo and Hotmail. And so I would say that social media played a big role. And we were able to sponsor, most of our posts, and we were able to gain following. And those days, even Facebook would offer you a chance to just sponsor your page for visibility. And that way, it means you grow your following. And after that, then you can post your products that you are focusing on your following from a particular area, certain age groups, and all that. So that worked well for us. Not to really say that radio didn't, but after you have actually optimized your budget, because you are just working with a small budget. After you optimize that budget and it works for you, then it means that with a small budget, you're able to reach a much bigger audience, get sales coming through, build more income, and therefore you have a bigger budget to now go to radio and TV and print media and such things. So I would say it was in phases. And first, social media and people close to our circles. And then after that, we were able to go to radio, different segments, depending on the project. And then after that, we would even use TV and of course other PR opportunities, both above the line and below the line. Because things such as billboard, you realize that there is really no data. Actually, you would not say that there is enough data to tell you how much people are you going to reach when you have a billboard at Westlands town or even in Nakuru. But social media really gives you metrics to know you are going to reach this number of people and all that, plus also, Google ads and trying to optimize our websites to ensure visibility, because there are millions of websites in the world. And how do you get visible by people who are searching for properties? So I would say that it has been in cycles. And it's a dynamic world. The consumer trends are changing, consumer options are changing, and therefore we really need to optimize the way we reach and speak to our customers, because even the age group is changing. Nowadays, you rarely will see people watching TV and listening to radio like before, but they spend most of their time on their gadgets, and that is right where we need to reach out to them. Yes.
Thank you, Joseph. Ruben, any addition?
In terms of branding, I think one of the things I'm very sure about, if you are running any business, branding becomes very important. It has tackled a lot to do with what I would consider more of advertising. Advertising is one component, of course, of marketing and branding. Basically, branding is a reputation. And we realized at the very beginning, the experience we wanted to give our customers, apart from the fact that we are advertising aggressive, especially from 2017, people need to remember username on top of mind. So, of course, it's a whole bouquet of many things that needed to be done. We knew there's no way, especially in our market, we are going to go anywhere if you are not visible out there. Of course, advertising became a major thing on all fronts. I think he has explained. And I also remember our first customer came through Facebook. That was a declaration, that was a kind of a good signal of the direction we should take. I still remember even his name, because he later became a friend. So branding became something that we knew we must invest heavily in all those initiatives, including customer experience, because the moment you advertise a lot and customers come to get served or to buy your product, in this case to buy our properties, we knew after that we need to find a mechanism to ensure that they are happy. And I used to say, and I still say, that the experience you get in Username Investment, this is the real estate sector, and especially in the large subsector, is the same experience you'd get if you go to a bank. See that moment when you go to a bank to do anything, there's a way you are treated, and there's a way you view that particular organization. It's the same thing that should happen in our sector. That's something we are doing, and branding became one of the major aspects of that particular objective.
I think Joseph has tackled that question very well and mentioned about what we have been doing. In addition to that, probably what I can add is the issue of customers talking good about the brand, about Username. Especially on social media, you would find in some or in most of our posts that we do, you find someone commenting on the kind of service they have gotten from Username. Through that, they are able to reach out to someone else who probably didn't know about Username. And that good feedback, that we get from those customers are able to ensure that our blood is known far and beyond.
Thank you, Julius. The next question is 2 in 1. Number 1, I want to know your most memorable moments at Username. Then, your most memorable and the proudest moments. Sometimes the most memorable could be a bad thing, but proudest is positive. So most memorable can be positive, negative. So I want to know your most memorable, and number 2, your proudest. Joseph?
Well, okay. Most memorable. I would say that the most memorable moments are actually not when you had the biggest achievements. It's more of those small aspirations that we had. And for me as a person, I think the most memorable moment is when we actually got 1 million shillings in our bank account. Honestly speaking, we had been used to having, like, you get 500,000, 700, you would not really get to 1 million. Before that, you have bills to pay and all that, and then you would go back to almost zero. And then one day we say that we want to have 1 million shillings. And I remember when we got that money, we even went to celebrate with a pizza. So that I look back and I see the excitement during our time. Of course, we were young. But 1 million shillings was quite something. Because you are kind of getting into the million zone. And you feel like this is something I would not have achieved. Getting 1 million shillings that time, unless you have taken a loan, you would not really say that this is our money. So that is, I would say that is the most memorable for me. But also, the other part is the most exciting, and I would say that I really think it was not a moment, but a season for me. And that excitement came in 2016 towards 2017, after we overcame the loss that we went through. As we said before, I remember when we lost money, and it was very devastating. We were all down. As in, you go back home and you don't know even how to explain that you have lost money. And we went back trying to fundraise from friends, and it was not easy. By the way, getting your friends trusting you with their money is very hard. Because first, there's how they know you. They have not known you doing business. So they actually have no past where they have known you manage money. And therefore, it was very hard getting money. And I don't blame them. That is just who we were that time. And tried to fundraise here and there. And we couldn't even be able to get much. But whatever little we got, we went somewhere, got a vendor, convinced them that trust us with your land and give us access and allow us to start selling and all that. And they agreed. And then we were able to sell, and it was a quick turnaround. And then after that, he actually gave us another land. And from that, we were able to get other people in the neighborhood trusting us with their portions. I think that's a season where we started now overcoming, the failure, the feeling like this is the end of us. And the excitement that time was truly, truly amazing, in that we saw ourselves coming from a season of downfall and feeling devastated, feeling discouraged, feeling stressed. And as an entrepreneur, you don't know who to share this with. By the way, entrepreneurs are very, very lonely people. Because at times you are going through challenges that no one can know. You will not share with your employee. You will not go to share with your neighbor. It's a business space that is lonely, and you are grappling with your challenges and just going down emotionally. And therefore, that time, a season of recovery, it's like we call it username version 2, username 2.0. It's like another version whereby you are overcoming a certain period of a low season, and then we saw ourselves recovering and just being able now to gain new milestones. I think that was the most exciting season, and it was a very encouraging time for me.
Thank you, Joseph.
I think he has shared about, I'm tempted to share the same, but shared about that time when you start a business and you are looking for the big break, right? And most people in Kenya is $1 million shillings. In the US, of course, that is very little money. So there's this guy, I think we were struggling, we were pushing. We could not even sometimes pay that 27,000. I can't imagine. Then one day we got 2 customers. Apparently they are friends. One came with cash money. He was amebeba na paper bag. I still remember a black paper bag in Veteran House, that small office. You don't know how much then. Of course, later I knew. And then the other one sent money. Was it a check or RTGS? Yes. I think the amount was almost 1.5 million. And I think that was the biggest. I think the other sales were Nauko 200, 100. Hata na zinakuja, the money comes and it is swallowed immediately by the expenditure. Of course, you can't forget that, because now you knew you have gone to the next level, and these things are real. You see, the moment you see people doing some things out there and it has not come to you, most of the time it's very hard for you, your system, let me say nervous system, to believe that it is possible for you. Anything you see out there, you can do. But before you get there, you don't think it's possible. But anyway, I wanted to share my memorable moment, that one. In 20, and there are many actually, in 20, and proudest also, in 2018, of course, after overcoming that challenge of loss in 2016, then in 2017, we went full blast. We are all over, especially in the media, launching projects, and they were moving so fast. This is Project Gong Crescent. We had 800 people on site. It was a logistic nightmare. Even the villagers wondered. Even the owner of the land came later, and he was really protesting on some aspects that we had not finished with him. So in 2018, we now started entering the top companies in real estate, and I think immediately we applied. The first we won 2 awards immediately. The first one was top 100 companies by Nation Media and KPMG. And I also, that particular night, because most of the things are organized the same day, there was an Entrepreneur of the Year by a real estate entrepreneur. There is not the other sector of the year. That particular night, our first trial, Entrepreneur of the Year, I had to juggle between 2 venues in one night. I remember them, they were receiving the top 100. It was our first trial. I was very proud. You could see, and it was genuine. You see, there's a way you get an award and you know, in here, kupakwa mafuta. You see those political things. But this one was genuine, and he knew he had worked hard for it. For me, that was a proud moment, among his many others. Another one I can share very fast. You see, we were doing a proof of concept. We were saying, and all these companies, the companies we are competing with at the top spot right now, the very top, were there already. And others went down, and I think you know those stories. So when we came, we wanted, I used to wonder how, if you are getting to a sector, ensure you are the top. Even if not number one, try to be up out of 5. Then over time you try to get closer. Eventually you'll be number one. So immediately we got to that $1 million mark because we did it in 2016. It's about the volume, it's about the revenue. See the way you have a dashboard here. Right now it looks like it's not a big deal. We can actually do that in a month. Immediately we got there, I knew that now we have gotten to a level where we can get on top of the sector. And for me, that was something that made me realize you have moved to another level. We can provide more opportunities. We can do huge projects. We can actually be able to impact more people, and we can have a name. Because the moment you start doing that, now you can do any project that you wish. There are many moments, but I think those are some of the few I believe cannot be forgotten. If I look at negative ones, they are still there, but I think we need to stop there.
Thank you, Ruben. Julius?
There are so many memorable moments and most enjoyable moments that we have encountered in our line of business or since we started. And I'll just talk about 2 that I have just remembered now. And one of it was when we launched a product in Kagudo Road. It was a piece of land that we bought, about 10 acres. And that product moved. It was sold out even before we got to site. Before the day of the site visit, we launched on a Monday, and by that day we had already completed selling all the units. So we were not very sure what to do because you see we have so many customers who are interested and they are coming to site, they are going to see. Now, on that particular day, on that Saturday, it had rained so much and we couldn't even be able to get to the property where the property was. But customers were willing even to do whatever they can to ensure that at least they come and they can be able. We had the option of postponing that site visit, but we said no, because we have already engaged these customers and they are already aware and they have already bought, and we promised them, let us just take them. That was quite memorable for me. The other one was in Nakuru. There's a project we used to call it the Hamptons Nakuru. We launched the project. We had taken some of the customers to site. On that particular day, the day that we had the open day, the one that you gather all the customers, you take them to site, you have sold half the project or maybe 40% of the project, you have the 60% that is not yet sold, and you are hoping once you get to site, you'll be able to engage the customers, they are going to buy. By the time the second bus was getting to site, all the plots that were remaining, all the units were already gone. We had more than, I think, 200 to 300 customers who were still coming and they were still saying they are still interested and they wanted to book. Yet, when you tell them we don't have a plot, they are saying, no, let's just go. We just need to go there. So at that point, we figured out what do we do. We had engaged several vendors around that area. And although we had not met one of the vendors, we were optimistic. And this is why I say faith is very important and very strong. We had faith that we are going to take that piece of land and we sell to our customers. So when our customers came, we were telling them, the project is already sold out. We don't have any unit that is remaining, but we have another project that is coming up in the next 3 weeks to 1 month. So customers said, we are going to book now because we were ready to come and pay. So customers were paying on site. And then we were listing them and telling them, we are going to give you the first priority once this new project comes on board. And for sure, we met with the vendor immediately after that, or maybe a week after that, and we were able to agree, and we get into the project, and it was good, we saw them. So those 2 are my most memorable moments that I can remember, but there are so many others. About my most enjoyable moment, we have been given a story about how far we have come. From the moment that we were in CBD, Moi Avenue, we had a very small office, an office that we could not all of us fit. If all of us were seated and one had to go out, maybe go out of the office and maybe or go to the washroom, you had to ensure all the others started so that you can have space, so that you can be able to live. Coming from that very small office with one employee, going to Mirage, whereby it was a little bit bigger, 5 times the size of that office. And then coming from Mirage, coming now to Remark. The day that we launched the Username headquarters here, and knowing that we have a very big space that we can be able now to serve our customers. And not only to serve our customers, but knowing that there are so many other people who are behind you, who are looking up onto you, so that you can be able to serve them as customers, and also ensure that you have staff, employees who are depended on by so many other people from where they come from. For me, that's something that gave me a lot of joy, and I reflected back and said, for sure it is possible. Anything that you set your mind on, it is possible, it can be done. What you only need to do, you don't have to do it in a day. Our journey from Veteran House to Mirage to Remark was not in a day. It was small bits of progressive successes until we ensured that now we are in a place that we can be able to offer good service to our customers.